Hi guys.
Hi guys, welcome to week 2 of Wake Up UK of Angie and Tinky show. We were
Yeah,
meant to get a little friend on here today of Elavi, but I've messaged him the number and hopefully he'll get it in time to give us a little ring because he's got a really important story that he needs to get out.
yeah.
If you want to give a little thing of how we met in that Tink in Manchester,
Oh, sorry, what's his name? Can you
Avowley.
Avowley? Yeah, we went to Manchester for a children's protest to raise awareness of what obviously the councils and the governments are doing to families and the family courts. And we met. The, I can't say. Sorry, I'll have to. I can't say his name proper. I might say it.
Avowley.
Avowley. Have I said it right there?
Hmm.
So we met
Yeah,
Avowley, and he just come out of prison because he'd been going through the family courts trying to see his own children. So
yeah.
basically, been in and out of jail, I think, over the last few years, for trying to get contact with his own children, with his own flesh and blood, which has been denied access to, which is what me and you have gone through.
Yeah, well, it goes a bit deeper than that as well, doesn't it? Because like the establishment are after all of us. The establishment are after him because he's that knowledgeable and knows what's going on and knows about the system.
Well, I think as he's gone through the process and obviously he's seen that solicitors, barristers, judges aren't actually doing the job and they're not actually there in the best interests of the children, which is a bit like what we've gone through.
Yeah,
uh, he's wanted to get a remedy for his situation and the government haven't allowed him to get a remedy, and this is what we're all kind of experiencing, isn't it? That people in the higher places aren't actually there to protect the children or the
yeah,
adults, and it seems to be more of a business, not
yeah.
actually looking after the children.
I mean, when I actually looked into my family court in Liverpool, it come up as a property and business court. Now that tells you that and when you actually because I've been through all the court procedures and stuff like that, then they've given me documents that it tells me how much things are, and I know people that's paid like £12,000 to see the children, and it's all fell through. So it's like where the mass amount of money that these judges are taking, and yet they can, because when counter-terrorism were after me the other week, because basically um, the officer had that threatened me from home off his work mobile.
Yeah,
Um, the counter-terrorism then told me it was off the judge and social services.
yeah,
Now we're getting our platforms removed left, right, and centre, aren't we? Facebook, YouTube. We keep getting banned for what? Telling the truth.
yeah. Well, we've just received another ban after 7 days. We were only on for, I don't even think we managed 24.
A day. We're funny, aren't we? A day we've been on banned and we're banned again.
That was because I put a video up of my voice like a chipmunk. Saying that
Oh God.
EQ story time, the people that are going out to tell the children's stories across the UK are only getting the minimum CRB check. So they're only getting the minimum, disclosure, and they're reading bedtime stories or stories to your kids about, how you should be with a boy and a girl with a girl.
Okay, so let's take it to the disclosure and barring service. There's like when somebody goes through a DBS check, they're checking if children can work with adults
Yeah,
who are not basically paedophiles.
yeah,
So that's the DBS check basically. So you've
yeah,
got like three different levels. You've got a basic, a standard, and an enhanced. So the
yeah,
basic is just, like it's nothing. They don't even check your criminal record or nothing. So when you go into my hidden town grooming scandal, which is Wirral, so Wirral Borough Council have got a hidden grooming scandal. When you actually go into that, when our town was actually running with a hidden grooming scandal, and the report was getting hidden up, Everybody got sacked in my council except for one person, which is Eric Robinson.
Gets worse.
Now I've got a minute. Eric Robinson. Then in July, when the ICSA made recommendations to go re-vet all the foster carers, because basically they found Nottingham Council had raped all the kids, they then made a recommendation to go re-vet foster carers. Only Eric Robinson got the job in July as chief executive of the Disclosure and Barring Service.
So they've moved him from being head of children's social services in the Wirral, because then there was a load of children that were actually abused through the Wirral, including grooming gangs, which have been covered up. They then
kids have been murdered and everything by the parents.
He resigned, but then they reposted him to be the disclosure in bar, the head of it, of who gets vetted. Now, if it just said,
he's now vetting potential paedophiles, let's say.
Well, he can pass who he wants through, really, can't he? Do you know what I mean?
But then you take it down to today, and you take it to COVID-19. And what are they saying now? They're crying out, going, "Oh, we can't cope with this COVID-19. We need to bring all these social workers back." Oh, are you now? So you're going to bring the social workers back that you've got rid of. So you're going to throw them back through a DBS check. Eric Robinson.
1 second, Andrew. These are the ones that have abused all the kids in the 60s, 70s, 80s.
I'd say yes.
Petra.
I'd say yes.
You know what I mean?
And this is all after ICSA recommendations.
Yeah. But if I go back to disclosure in bar, that only actually started in 1994. So previous to 1994, there was never any checks on anybody who was with anybody. Does that make sense to you? So we've only had 26 years of that in place. Well, we can clearly see that there is a paedophile problem in everybody's town at the moment. And that's only even if you go and look at your local court paper, go and look at your local newspaper, what's going on in your courts, and it's thrown at you left, right and centre.
It all boils back down to the Home Office. I'm seeing a lot, to do with the Home Office, and probably this is why counter-terrorism are after me, because in the counter-terrorism policy, when you actually go down it says that basically they'll come out after you if you want to overthrow the government. Now, I've never looked at it that way. I just see right and wrong and want to fix the wrong. I don't see it like I'm just about to overthrow a government. That'd be, you basically, we don't even know which one's the paedophile in there, do we really?
No. I mean, the way I see
how many there are
it is just about what's right and wrong, right? At the end of the day, no matter which way round you look at it, you can't kiddie fiddle a kid or a baby or a toddler or a teenager. So to me, that is a wrong. If anybody's doing it,
go back to the brain splitting in two thing. Explain the brain splitting in two.
Yeah, so if a child is being sexually abused from a young age, it actually splits the brain in two. So because of the trauma that they experience, the brain manages to develop a way to shut out these experiences. So but then another personality can come along with that, because obviously they're living, it splits your brain, and they're living two lives, if you like, the life of the trauma and then the life of whatever this trauma creates after it as well.
And then they're getting ignored by all the services going as well to add to the trauma that they're already suffering.
So that will then make them abuse drugs. It will make them run away.
Sorry, Avali's just tried ringing you on that number.
Oh, right. Oh, tell him to try it again, because it's here. Or
I'll
say it again. 1 sec.
Okay. Sorry, guys. Be with you now. Just getting Avali on the show. He is absolutely amazing. Amazing.
Just ask him to try again a minute.
Tink, I'll give you a different number for him to try to ring in.
Say try again, Tink.
Tink, I'll give you a number to use to pass on to him that he can call in on. So bear with me.
Right. Okay.
I'll send you it in WhatsApp.
Can you text it me, Jason?
Okay, I'll do it. I'll put it in WhatsApp for you both.
Okay, thank you. Can you text it to me Facebook?
Okay. You're so demanding,
Sorry, it's just me
so demanding.
on another phone. Sorry, guys, we will be with you. This is so worth it.
1 sec, okay.
It's so worth it to get a Foley on the show. He is absolutely amazing. And, you know, this lad can just, like, you know, he can tell, you know, and he's got a really big story, and he really needs to tell this story. So just while everybody's sorting out what everybody's sorting out, I'll just keep talking because I talk like crap anyway.
Tell them about what happened when you were just in your own back garden, and you know.
Oh yeah, I was in my back garden this week, and the police just come out of nowhere. So obviously I've got ADHD, so I start going into a panic because I was proper like shaking and everything. My adrenaline was going like I wouldn't believe. So anyway, I was like, automatically I jumped on the defence, like, you know, what are you doing? Why are you in the garden? You know, we were sat there social distancing anyway. You know, I was in my back garden. So anyway, I had murder with the police and that, and he shouted at me. I mean, this is the police that, you know, we've got this COVID-19, and that, you know, Boris Johnson's passing all these, you know, laws that are not even laws, it's fraud. But you know, they come on the bounce and they think they're like 10 men, big men, and all this lot, you know, like 10 of them jumping out, not social distancing, by the way, 10 of them jumping out of one van, you know, and coming at you, you know, and you're like, wow, stay away from me, social distancing, you know, they're meant to be police officers. But then he turned around and he was screaming at me saying, oh, I'm going to get you evicted. And then he basically, I was going, I don't consent to your contract, I don't consent. And he went, I don't care about your common law. I was like, the full common law. That, you know, I didn't say that at the time. I didn't say that at the time, but
Right, love.
Sorry, I've just been stalled. Hang on, 2 seconds. Take over, think.
All right, one. Oh, man, I'm so sorry for everything what you've been through, but we'll talk about it now. 1 sec, because we're on. Right, loudspeaker, we're on it. High volume, okay. Right. Hi, we're all together.
Are you on?
Tinky, it's really quiet. I can't hear that too well. Do you want to ask him to phone that number that I just sent you?
Tink, tell him I've texted him the number to the show. Tell him to ring onto the show number. I've just texted him it in his Facebook now.
Then it'll be loud and clear.
Did you hear that, love? There's a number that Jason sent to you around.
Angie, I've texted him it.
So if you just ring that, and then they'll be able to hear you a bit better. Okay, no problem. All right, nice one, love. I'll speak to you in a bit, love. Bye. Here we go.
Oh, I can't wait for him to come on. I really can't wait, because do you know what's so worth it when he gets on? Because he's just got out of jail, guys, again. I mean, he went to jail, he come out, we literally met him. He was like a little angel. He was an absolute angel, you know, and then he went missing. They got him again and put him to jail again, and he's saying some stuff about the jails.
Preston jail. I mean,
I don't even know. Do you know?
Just on that in itself, right? What kind of system do we have that somebody is going to jail purely because they want to see their own flesh and blood? Is this the level that we've got to? How have we even got to this? Is it? Do you know what I mean? How have the government been able to get away with blocking? Well, you've got 3 people been blocked from seeing the children already. You know, for what?
Not to mention everybody else.
No, and I'm just saying, like, the 3 of us just right in front of us now. There's 3. This shouldn't even happen to 1. Never mind. There's millions out there, and then you've got all the kids that are going through the care system, that are being raped, to being abused. You know what I mean? The kids that are on the porn, you know, or the people are using them on porn industries. I mean, what the hell's going on?
I know. I mean, take it back to that. The children that the trannies in the schools. Basically, I call them trannies. That's what I've always called them.
LGBTQ go around reading stories.
That's the one, LGBTQ. Reading the stories to the kids, like, you know, I don't mind, like, you know, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transvestite, you know, I don't mind at all. But, you know, when you teach your kids things, like when you've got kids and you're a mother, and when you teach your kid things, like, you know, you don't want to teach them about sex, and you don't want them to know too much and stuff like that. You keep them in a bubble, don't you? They keep them in a lovely little bubble, you know, until they reach the age of 16 or 18, and then they hit the big wide world, and then they realise what happens. What happened to that?
Yeah, I mean, it's like, without being crude, like, say, like, if you're a straight person and if you're, you know, it's a boy and a boy.
Yay, we have a Volley.
Join the meeting.
How you doing?
Hi, Volley, how are you?
Listen, that was, wait a minute, that was like being in prison again, you know, entering numbers and all that. Wow. I'm thinking, give me a flashback. How you doing?
Oh, we're brilliant. So, Volley, welcome to Wake Up UK, mate. On the Angie And Tinky
thank you
show.
so much.
I can't believe we've got you on this show. We were just saying to everyone, we met you in Manchester, and you were like a little angel.
Thank you, likewise.
You were like an angel that come to us, and then the next thing, I handed you a document, the Wirral Borough scandal, which you got arrested with, and then you went to jail, and that was the last we heard of you.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a roller coaster, to say the least. Yeah, a criminal justice roller coaster.
Not surprised.
Wow.
So when we left you after that protest, obviously we thought, you know, that we'd kind of see you over the next year. And, you know, what happened to you from that point?
Well, you know, the thing is, stuff was happening to me before that, you know, like everywhere I went, I was getting arrested, and it kind of intensified over that time. So I can't remember where I was exactly. I think I was in York, and I got arrested in York.
Want to take
and
it
then when
back
I came,
to the beginning where you want to take it back a bit to the beginning where, you know, is your troubles through the family courts, aren't they?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Want to just explain a bit that, because if I remember rightly,
where it all began,
children, isn't
how it started.
You mean how it started with the family court? So I'm not going to really go into then why I went to the family court, but basically it was because, you know, I broke up from my family. I wanted contact with my children, and it wasn't coming, so I went to the family court. I thought I was doing the right thing, and the family court turned out to be a nightmare. So the family court lasted for about 3 years, just over 3 years, and it was at the end of the process that I started campaigning, really, because I realised then, after a long time, I guess I was a bit of a fool or very naive. I believed it would work at some point, or the corrupt stuff would sort itself out. But in the end, when I realised that it was just a stitch-up, I started campaigning, speaking out, and doing speaking online and doing little bits and pieces. And the first thing, I started doing my YouTube channel, Elavi TV, talking about the process and putting videos out. So the first time they arrested me was for putting out a video called War on Fathers. It's still on YouTube now, and that was because they said I'd recorded some of the family court hearing and put it in the video. And they weren't lying, I did do that.
Go on, Volley. Come on, my lads.
So they arrested me for that. They kept me in prison for 5 months.
For 5 months?
A paedophile doesn't even get 5 months.
I know. And you're saying that, and the prisons tell me, listen, the prisons are full of them, and they're being looked after in there. The prisons are very full of them.
How many mental health patients are in that prison?
Well, you know, I tell you what, it would be easier to say, it would be easier to answer the question, how many people in there are not mentally ill? Because I would say that
and our victims.
Prison
how
itself,
many victims are in that? Sorry, how many victims are in that jail? Are we talking
hundreds of thousands? A lot of victims. You know, the thing is this: the prison system induces mental illness anyway. If you go in there, for instance, in my case, okay. Now, whether I'm guilty or not, I go in there as a person who's supposed to be innocent until proven guilty. I'm not supposed to be treated like a convict when I'm on remand. I'm supposed to have human rights, but I didn't have any human rights from the outset. And this is in both times that I've been locked up now. And I'm just going to jump to the second time when I got locked up, because I put a post on Facebook today, talking about 2 events that I was going to do. Because both times I got locked up were like history repeating itself in a sense. Because the first time I got locked up, I'd planned an event to land on my daughter's birthday called, I think it was called Father and Child Day. And it was to celebrate the love of a father and child. And it was supposed to be a happy children event and, family event.
That's lovely,
yeah. And I got arrested just before that. Okay.
But for love to show that fathers love the children and like we are, that mothers love the children too. This is a disgrace.
Of course.
It's a disgrace, isn't it? What's going
on?
It
is a disgrace. It is a disgrace. So listen to this now.
Go on.
Sorry. Now jump forward a year after I've been arrested and put in prison and come out. Jump forward a year now. I'm trying to do another event, but this one is different. It's not as friendly and children focused. It's a protest, and it's supposed to be on the 10th of September on my son's birthday. And people are getting involved, and it was just supposed to be because I came to your stuff, and then after that I was like, I'd been speaking to Zach and people and hoping to build it. And when I spoke at your event, it was that video, yes, because they were questioning about my links to Tommy Robinson and stuff like this, and just probing.
Oh my God!
It's crazy. Because all through my prison stuff this time, the second time, they were trying to talk about me inciting riots, and they said that I was trying to incite a riot in Preston prison, and they shipped me out for that.
And we're right-wing terrorists.
Hang on, they shipped you out of Preston.
What?
Is that they shipped you out of Preston prison?
Yeah, they shipped me out of Preston prison, and they moved the case to Liverpool prison. So my family court proceedings were in Preston, right? So they should really have prosecuted that in Preston. But the reason why they moved it out of Preston is because they knew I was doing the protest there. They knew people, especially on stuff like social media, it kind of sparked off in Preston. So a lot of attention was on Preston. I did a protest in Preston, a one-man protest, and that went all over the internet. So they didn't like it.
Avali, did you commit a crime for you to go to jail? You didn't, did you?
No. What I did was this. Well, I told you what I did the first time. I put a bit of the recording from the family court proceedings on YouTube, showing their corruption. And then the second time, I wrote to social services and also the university to highlight the abuse that my children are suffering as a result of parental alienation. That's what I wrote to social services, and they arrested me for that.
If I just stop you on there, because, I've got a bit of what I actually did, my testimony, if you like, it's not a story, it's a testimony. Now, when I came out of court in 2017, I didn't know Angie at this point, but I was that pissed off with the system like you, that I ended up buying myself a megaphone. I put a pair of shorts and t-shirts on, put a fluorescent pink thong on and a fluorescent pink bra on, for 9 o'clock in the morning with a megaphone and shouting, walk through them doors, they're gonna rape you. Now when I went,
listen, you're fearless. You're fearless on another level, because I tell you what, I thought I was fearless, but when I see you, I'm thinking, wow.
Getting to it, I went that day. I said the names of everybody, and believe you me, they all heard me saying it.
So powerful, so powerful.
I've seen it on the video.
What I do is I've not had a charge on me. So how are they?
This is the point I'm trying to make. We are actually. We've had our children stolen and we've never committed a crime. Then we've had Avali's been locked up. He hasn't committed a crime. So what is actually going on? When I actually looked into the family courts, they're a business and property courts, and I don't know if you know Avali, but counter-terrorism threatened me a couple of weeks ago. They phoned me.
You were saying briefly.
Sorry?
So what happened? What happened there? What happened with that? Because you mentioned them briefly in the message, but
counter-terrorism phoned me up and threatened me and told me to remove my YouTube and remove my Facebook, and I basically told them to go and whistle. Yeah,
wow.
yeah. So anyway, I started checking them out. Counter-terrorism.
And why haven't I had them at my door? Do you get me? Because it's
you had your MP though.
Oh yeah, true. Well,
the MP the MP phoned the police.
I forget things.
What was that? The MP did what?
Tinky, you tell him.
What's that?
You tell them about the MP.
Oh, well, I've done 2 letters to my local MP, which they're on our YouTube channel. You'll really appreciate both of them. And then the second letter sent, later on that day, I had the police knock on my door saying, why have I approached the MP? I said, well, to get help, because my kids are being abused.
Really? Yeah. Really? Wow.
The video's on our YouTube channel, so is the counter-terrorism. I think I've recorded, like, you know, what they've said and stuff like that. And they threatened me, so I started looking into it. And basically, they've got all this stuff on it. You know, when it goes into the universities, they're like, you can't say this and you can't say that, and you can't use religion. And, you know, it's them that's pushing it. And then years ago, it used to be Special Branch that used to go out and used to go, you know, kill people and pop people off.
Yeah.
And Tinky found the link. They've just changed the name to counter-terrorism. So counter-terrorism, a Special Branch.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you something, yeah. I'll tell you something, you're saying... What was that?
I was just saying you got someone else has joined you now called Jake.
Oh, hi, Jake.
Hiya, family.
Oh, hi. Oh, I don't really know much about you. Have you got a story?
I just come on to let you know because I saw your video about that person that I actually have a gagging order over. But it's all coming out basically, and I'm working with the mother of the children, and I'm in close contact with her, and there's also it's happening. So be encouraged. Be encouraged, please.
Oh wow!
Oh wow! So have you had the same dealings with the family courts? Are you like a solicitor, or are you like a person going through it, trying to win your kids?
Well, I live in Luton. I was from Leighton Buzzard, so I was geographically located to be able to respond to that case that turned up in the family courts. It was a satanic paedophile ring.
Oh. So can you tell us any details about that paedophile ring? Because we do look into this, because we do know that a paedophile ring is clearly running. Yet the Home Office can't find a paedophile ring. Yet we can clearly see one with our own 2 eyes without a degree. If you get where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
I've put up a few things over the last.
Can I ask what kind of evidence was revealed in that case then to do with that ring? What kind of actual?
For instance, the hair samples weren't presented when the children they were taken for drug, and the boy.
Right, Jake. Don't interrupt you here, mate. This is one thing I would rather leave on YouTube rather than this website. Okay? So I did say this to you as well, Angie and Tinky. This is one of the topics that I don't want to be intoxicating.
Oh, we didn't know.
Oh, sorry, Jason. We were just, because we need to get down and dirty into this.
Yeah, I totally get that. But I've seen so much backstabbing and bitching going on about this on YouTube. I'd rather just leave that whole case on YouTube. You know.
That was last week, Jason.
Sorry,
Jake.
last week.
Right. Well,
anyway, let's take it back to the. Can we talk about the family courts?
Yeah, cool. Go for it. Yeah.
Yeah, let's take it back to Elavi. So what happened with you, Elavi? Like, you know, in the prison, like, what's going on the inside of the prison? You know, because obviously we know that there's Melanie Shaw out there and there's Carol Woods. That Carol Woods is a whistleblower. She's allowed out now. She's on the outside, but we've still got Melanie Shaw and Carl Beach.
I think what's happened is all the abused people are actually ended up being locked up, because once they've been abused, nobody's listened to them. Then they'll either end up committing small little
kicking off and screaming.
or they'll end up, you know, taking drugs, this, that, and the other, or whatever it is. You know, they'll be living a life of bloody terribleness because no one's listened to them, and then they're ending up in the jails. And then because their heads are so battered because they've been, do you know what I mean? The jails are full of people that really just need TLC and love and justice. That's what they need, justice. Someone gets justice, it can help them move forward with their lives. If someone wants a remedy within, you know, you go to a family court, you want a remedy. You don't want blockage. You want your family back. You want some kind of stability. You want some unit, and you want a remedy. But that's not what's happening anywhere, is it?
Do you know, it makes you
very
wonder.
powerful what you said there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. But if I just go a bit higher again, so even though like us three here and Jake have all come together through our own little like walk, if you like, our own walk, our own path, and uncovered what we've uncovered ourselves. If I go to COVID-19 now, the actual government, at first, like, I thought I was just an unlucky person, but the more that I've dug, the bigger it's got, and then the more that it seems that there is an actual problem with child abuse across the whole of the world, which is being like COVID-19. You know,
well, you know something, can I say, you know, with the family court, having experienced it and the prison system as well, I'm not grateful for going into prison, but in a sense I am, because I've been talking about and criticising the system and exposing the corruption. Yeah. If I had never gone to prison, I would never have seen the final piece in the puzzle. Now, the prison system is an experiment as far as I can see, and it's an experiment that is going to take down society. It's going to take down society because people don't understand what the prison system is. And I think that the closest way of describing what a prison is like a concentration camp. Yeah. And it has a lot of avenues running into that prison from different sectors of society. You know, like mentally ill people are a big chain of a big route. The school exclusion system is a massive route. So when we talk about the family courts and how they destroy the families, they're actually they're creating future customers for the profit-driven prisons, because the prisons, when you get locked up,
of a conveyor belt, isn't it? And until you get
it's a conveyor belt. Yeah, and it's modern day slavery as well. It's modern day slavery because, you know, when you are in my case, I was imprisoned. I lost my home because I was imprisoned. I was paid, when I actually worked in prison, I was paid £1. I think it was about £2 a day for what I was doing. You know, and again, do you know what I mean? I'm supposed.
If I just stop 1 sec, aren't they putting people that, you know, like are on, you know, say like they can't get a job, aren't they now putting them and making them run charity shops, say voluntary experience? Well, to me, that's labour.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they're doing a lot of stuff like that.
Volunteer for it.
Yeah, it's basically a prison planet that they've created for us now.
Yeah, and now with the COVID-19, people might start to see, you know, at the end of the day, right, flu, it is going about this flu, and obviously it is targeting the most vulnerable people, but we get higher deaths a year. Last year of flu, we had something like 55,000. Do you get me, in 1 year? Why aren't we not? Why aren't we not when AIDS started? Why didn't they do a lockdown then to help the fucking people that had caught it, to at least condense it to one area? But they didn't do that.
Well, I would say the reason they didn't do that is because they didn't have this agenda that they've put in place now. Because when you look at the Coronavirus Act 2020 and look at all the unregulated areas which they've changed now, they're going to modify the Mental Health Act. They've got the power to do that now. They've got the power
what
to
are they going to do with
force.
modifying the Mental Health Act? Because I'd like to know that, because that's the act that they're coming in with me, because they've already declared me as being mentally unstable to represent myself without even seeing anybody.
Well, it doesn't stop there. I can't answer those questions for you yet, because we're going into a new territory. But yeah, they're going to modify the Mental Health. They're going to modify the Terrorism Act. They're going to modify.
But that's the thing, Grace. Sorry, come on.
But we've gone through 2 world wars, right? Literally, you know, people were getting bombed while these like viruses were going on. Do you get me? There was fucking mass murder. Did we have all the mental health then? No, the people stood together, stood proud, and fucking rebuilt the country up.
We've only got the mental health. We've only got the mental health because there's that many children have been severely and horrifically abused and neglected that they haven't got, you know, they haven't got the, you know, to go out and have a normal life. The life's constantly ruined. So we've got a society of like, you know, people are frustrated because people are not listening to them. They're saying, I've been raped, and the police aren't doing nothing, and social services aren't doing nothing, and the family courts are passing them with the paedophile.
How the media are lying to the whole of the nation, saying that there is this, and then you go to access the help. So could you imagine being, just say for instance, a 10-year-old child that something's happened to while they were at school, and they managed to get the courage up to just tell someone, and then that person then informs the police, and then they go, oh sorry, it comes down to 2 people, and you know,
we need a witness.
5 weeks have gone on or whatever, or we can't get any evidence. Imagine how that 10-year-old is going to feel. Do you know what I mean?
And then, you know, go on. Then these kids are going on the stand, and the kids are going on the stand and getting like when I seen a documentary the other day where when these kids are going to be on the stand and they're giving evidence to these grooming gangs. They're getting cross-examined by every solicitor. So if there's 9 people there, they're getting called a liar by 9 people in the court. That shouldn't even be.
But that's the system, isn't it? That's the system. Yeah. That's how the system's been set up. You know, like because the thing is,
that was all set up. Paedophile information exchange was set up for the government because this whole system, if you twist it back on its head, is actually a paedophile system. It's there to help paedophiles abuse all our children, and it's there to.
Well, it would seem that's the case. They're normalising it now, and that's why, you know, the prison population that are sex offenders and paedophiles, it's changing now because they're going to be looked at as ill, not as criminals. They're going to be looked at as people that have a
problem.
They're doing
Yeah, we haven't ever had a problem, have we? Yet they're now classing it as a problem.
Can I just jump in? What seems to have happened is the way that we had these segregated off rich areas, and then this whole discontentment how a woman couldn't respect a man that was oppressing other men like that. So then it turned into this whole bad relationships, segregated, so they could end up abusing. I feel that maybe women, because there's so many women in these big paedophile cults with stuff on dildos, that they took advantage of young boys, which wasn't. Oprah actually says that a 7-year-old boy wouldn't even know he was being abused if the abuse was any good.
If you actually
go, also buggery.
Is the thing
that's
is
dark,
if you go back,
really dark.
It never stopped. This is not something that's just all of a sudden fallen upon us. This has been 2,000 years of them plotting and planning to create this system in the end. Do you know what I mean? This is always sacrificed. You know, social services started the year Jesus was born. You know what I mean? You know, say no more.
Really?
And then shocking.
You know what I mean?
It's a metaphor, isn't it?
Legalized.
I'll run them through who had social services. Tim, just run them through a little. Go on.
Oh well, like say in the 60s, like 40s, something like that. Alcoholics Anonymous. But then in the 1800s, they had the gin epidemic, where they basically got all the citizens hooked on gin, and everyone was getting pissed. They were twatting the kids, killing the kids. Everyone was twatting each other. Because everyone was pissed, but that's what the government wanted the people to be pissed. They wanted them to. So it's a bit like now where they've got you all in on COVID-19, and I'm not saying everybody's out there kicking off on each other, but, you know, if you've got families that maybe aren't used to being with each other, say more than, you know, say maybe most families can cope with it being in a house or a flat for like, say, 4 or 5 days, and you need to get out a bit, don't you? Do you get me?
You do.
Yeah.
You know, so the families that are a bit more vulnerable, that can't cope very well, that you're going to end up seeing a big explosion of domestic abuse and things going on. And
well, you've already seen some incidents. Sorry to butt in. You've already seen some incidents of people killing entire families in the home, and I think they've promoted that because it's feeding into the whole fear thing. Angie, can I ask you, you know the video with the police?
Yeah.
Tell us about it, because, you know, it's just an example of what's been happening with these police now.
Basically, I was sat in my garden. It was a lovely little day, and I hadn't gone out for 4 days. And I just went down, sat on my little lawn, and the next thing, the police come. So I was like a bit like, wow, what's going on? Shaking and everything. So I've got ADHD, so I just retaliated, like, what do you think you're doing, officer? Do you know, in my garden? And anyway, I ended up having murder with the copper. But they've got a camera on the back of me, where my garden is. They've got a camera on it, like a 3D ball camera. So I think they're watching me. And when I come out, they came round and they started giving me shit. So I started giving them shit back, obviously, you know what I mean? Don't think you're fucking coming in my garden and tell me what to fucking do when I'm self-isolating and that. Anyway, he started having a row with me, but then he threatened me and said that he was going to get me evicted from my property. And then I was arguing, saying, I do not consent.
Yeah, I remember you saying that, and it was their attitudes that was just disgusting. Do you know what I mean? But it's such a brilliant video, because it shows, you know, to me, because that was obviously before. When was that? When did that actually happen? That
only happens about 3 or 4. The day that I put the video up, that happens, because I whacked it straight on YouTube and Facebook.
Right.
I think it happened a few days before, because we were banned.
I've got 2 out there where a woman who lives in the flat next door was abducted by the police. Apparently, she barricaded herself in, so why they felt the need to get through a door when she clearly didn't want them to come in, and then they took her off in a murder van.
See, what I'm concerned about now.
All right, I heard her. She was fine. She wasn't kicking off or anything. They took her off in a murder.
Yeah, they're ramping up for martial law, and they're taking who they want. And I think eventually they're going to start picking people up, like China. They're going to start taking us one by one and giving us COVID-19 and popping us off, burning our bodies and hiding the evidence.
Well, if anybody...
I wouldn't put it past them after seeing the prison system.
Neither would I. Now, people think that this great British government is oh so great. It is really, really not great. It is absolutely causing genocide.
Telling your elderly to stay in the house for 3 months. How are they meant to sustain themselves for 3 months? I know someone that has just met an elderly woman in the shop. She was 80 odd and her mum was 90 odd. She said, I've not seen my mum for 3 weeks. She said, I just have to leave the shop. I mean, how's the 90-year-old just getting imagine just being on your own for 3 fucking weeks.
I think that's not the worst of it. Everybody's getting DNRs, which is do not resuscitate. And that happened to sign it.
That is so perfect. Speak about that. Yeah, that is so important about not resuscitating people. That is so important.
Not consenting. Do not consent and do not sign anything that is given by the establishment because they want to kill you.
But they're not treating cancer patients.
Let me ask you a question, though. Let me ask you a question. You know, when I was locked up, I was fighting for my human rights all the way from the minute I was in the police station.
Never ever had, have we really? Come on, we've never ever had human rights.
No, we haven't.
To the United Nations, except England is the only country that hasn't implemented it. So last year, England said that they would implement it, but we, the citizens, would have to go to our MPs for them to implement our children's human rights and our human rights.
Yeah, Tinky got the police calls.
And then they just ignore us.
Yeah.
Or call the police. Sorry, get back to what you were saying about human rights, Elavi.
Listen, the human rights stuff is something I was fighting for all the time, and that's why in prison I became like a target, because I was educating myself. I already knew some stuff, and I knew that, you know, it was a human rights violation. So from the minute I got arrested when I was in the police station, I knew that I could ask to see. I have a right under Article 5 of the Human Rights Act. I have a right to see the evidence, and that goes back to the habeas corpus law that says, you know, if you're arrested, you have the right to challenge the lawfulness of your detention and your arrest. basically saying, show me the evidence. So I was doing that. It's entrenched in their law, and they would just ignore it. In fact, it would terrify them because they'd never ever seen anybody that would challenge that, because they don't, you know, even stuff like this. You know, they built this new police station in Blackpool. It's purpose built. It looks all flashy, nice colours and that. But when you go in and you have to see your codes.
That's exactly why they're coming after me, because I'm very clever and they can't win with me. So it's kind of a bit the same situation.
And you're challenging the law. Of course, you're challenging. Well, I wouldn't say you're challenging it. You're challenging their authority, because they don't actually know the law, and they're operating in a sense where you just do what we say and you don't challenge it. Because if you challenge it, you're gonna actually show them to be criminals. Basically, that's what happened in the court system, because I represented myself when I was in prison, and if I was told, if I had £1 for every time I was told that I wasn't allowed or couldn't represent myself while I was in prison, going and in the court system, I'd be a millionaire now, because everybody would do it. You know, when you'd say in the prison, oh, I'm representing myself, the screws would laugh at you, or they'd say, oh, you know, one of the phrases I heard was this a lot: the man who represents himself has a fool for a client. It was a well-known phrase that I heard so many times. But I was found not guilty of representing myself in the Crown Court. And the reason I did that was because I was able to do it, is because the system is corrupt. And if you can show them and expose their corruption, they do not know how to deal with it. Usually, they have you set up when you get arrested, because you're fed a duty solicitor who's not actually working for you, he's working for the Crown Prosecution, and he's just there to set you up. Yeah. So when you don't have a solicitor, it's a problem for them for a start, because they can't have their secret meetings and figure out how they're going to carve you up. When somebody gets out of prison and they get a good result, it's not because they're working in their favour. It was more because, it was your turn to win. It was your solicitor's turn to win or to get a good deal. Do you know what I mean? But they never lose.
When I went outside the family courts, that was my words exactly. It was that the children's solicitor was called Mr. Prevost, and the words I used was, it was then that Mr. Prevost laid his little act upon the judge, and that's exactly what they're doing. They're just playing. It's just role play. But in between, you're lying.
Do you know what? I was sat in a family court once, and I had a ciggy. So it was dead quick. Like, I took time having a ciggy, but this day it was absolutely freezing, and I just couldn't be arsed finishing my ciggy. So I had a quick puff and a walk back up to the family court. So it was in like the foyer, you know, where everyone sits and that. And I sat behind, like 2 rows behind my social worker and her manager, and I heard a discussion saying that they were taking cases to the boss, which would have been Phil Davies at the time, who's been sacked. Like Eric Robinson hasn't, but Phil Davies got sacked, so it would have been him. And they were saying that they were taking cases to the bosses, dead good cases, and the bosses were saying no, take them. And they were saying, but what about the children? But that's never left my head. That what about the children? And I put the complaint into the family court. I complained to social services, and they're still taking the children.
They don't want to know, do they?
Nah, they don't want to know. They don't want to investigate themselves.
I represented myself for 3 days before I went out with my knickers and bra. And believe you me, I wiped the floor with a lot of them, every single one, even the psychologist, this psychologist that they had me see. I had him in the box, I questioned him all, do you know what I mean? And obviously, like you've just said, because I did, you know, test the fucking bollocks brains, do you get me?
They literally haven't got no brains, because they don't do anything anyway.
They haven't got any brains. You know what's surprising to me with the whole criminal system and those lawyers and stuff? They're really
no one's really trained, people, are they? They're trained in fraud.
They're not. There's a lot of dumb people. But you know what? They succeed in that system because they don't really have to try. It's like a boxer, yeah? If he knows the fight is fixed, he doesn't have to really train. He doesn't have to push himself and excel and do good. He knows it's fixed.
Yeah, I see it as kind of like the establishment designed this system. And basically everybody's trained in fraud because they designed it. So one day their degrees are all going to be void because they're trained in fraud. Because they're not doing the job properly. They're not saving children. They're passing paedophiles around children. You know, they're not doing the job properly. And then they're terrorising
Well, it's their agenda, isn't it? It's their agenda. This is what they want. You see, we fight this system like it's an accident. I'm not saying you, but in general, people who are opposed to the system and the way it is, we fight it as if it's an accident. And by speaking to them, doing petitions, complaints, we can get them to fix their system. But we have no power over the system. But we're being destroyed by it constantly. You know, it's just it's a big trick. It's a big trick.
I believe that we do have quite a lot of power over the system, and I believe that's why COVID-19's out, because we had all the protesters across the world. It wasn't just so where people think that
me too. I think that they didn't have a problem at one time, but now they have a big problem.
Than we can ever really imagine, you know, because there is so many people speaking out about what's going on. So, you know, I believe that we are creating a stir, and I actually believe that COVID-19 was sent out to stop all us protests because they knew that we're all coming together, and you know that other people are working out this system. But you know where they've spread that out, the downfall now is that they've put us all on lockdown so we can all communicate a bit better. So even the people that are asleep, who were just doing what they normally do, we can now awaken minds because they're seeing it now, because they're not protecting the old, they're not protecting the children. Now the kids aren't in school. Well, what system have they set up? So they're just saying to us now, it's all right for your kids to be out of school for 6-7 months while we sort this out, when they've indoctrinated us that, God, if you have 5 minutes off, do you know what I mean?
Exactly, that's a powerful point. But you know, those police officers in that garden, your garden there,
yeah.
For me, looking at those guys, they look like they were itching.
They were proper itching, weren't they? They want me about it.
I would say this, 2-3 months down the line, those two officers won't be hesitant anymore. They won't be itching, they'll be acting because they will be empowered by the powers that they've been given. Now, when you say that we have power over the system, I don't disbelieve that in our belief, but the fact that they can lock us all down like this, you see, the video there that I'm talking about with the police, I think it's very powerful. It shows you standing up to them in a way that nobody.
Power, how cocky they can be if they had power.
Look at the one
where
go up to the officer.
This is what I'm saying. So before they get the power and take the power over, we need to take the power off them.
Yeah.
Can I ask you this then? You know, sorry, go. Sorry.
Yeah, go on, Elavi, go on.
You know, I did a
Go on.
I did a post on Facebook today because I saw a news article that came out a couple of days ago that the police have been given the power to use force on children.
On when? Yeah. What? See, I've also seen that the government straying that much on social workers that they're now calling ex-social workers back to the stands, back to the job. Now, we all know that those social workers that have been sacked could be a potential paedophile. Then they're going to get vetted by Eric Robinson.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's a problem.
It's okay, Dowie, because you've been in jail. Do you know anything about the common law of the land?
You know what? When I was arrested, I do know little bits and pieces, but what I've found is that when I've tried to implement it, because I don't know what's going on, and what will work and what won't, it's been hard. I'll give you an example. Well,
go on.
Just before I got arrested, I was sorting out what to say to the police, and I was led to believe that you didn't need to say anything in a court if you put in a statement like an affidavit stating your case and basically saying you have no case to answer. So when they locked me up on the 26th of June last year, and they forced me to have a duty solicitor because I was trying to get a solicitor outside of Preston. They won't let me do it. So they basically forced me to have their solicitor. And straight away I said to the solicitor, look, well, when I was in the police station, because the law states that if somebody asks to challenge the lawfulness of the arrest, they must be given a paper and the information to do it. They wouldn't do this when I was in the police station. So for 2 days, couldn't get it. But when I was going from the police station to the court now, the solicitor told me that it would be there in the court. So when I got in the court, I asked for some paper and I wrote a statement stating to them that I do not consent to their law. They have no jurisdiction over me because they've not proved that they have any evidence against me, and I have no case to answer. I said to the solicitor, my so-called solicitor, I want the judges in the magistrate court, the magistrates, to see this before I go in. And he was like, these were his words. He said, "Oh, this is very, very good. You could have been a solicitor." But he goes, there's a few things wrong with it. And I said, well, can you tell me what's wrong with it? And he was saying, well, I can't actually identify it, but if you give that to the judge, he's going to think you're crazy. And he said, it's like this whole freedom of, like freedom of the land and all this stuff. He was saying this.
Just stop you 1 sec. On the 24th of December, I went to a constable to report my abuse and my child's abuse, and then up to the officer and said, like, what you going to do? What you going to do? And he went, go and report it. And I went, I have for fucking 7 years. And then as I walked off, I went, you cunt, yeah? So because I called him a cunt, that's what he's more pissed off about. So they came and floored me to the floor and arrested me. Now, what I wanted to know is when you got arrested, so they obviously, they abducted me, assaulted me and pushed me to the floor. It's all on YouTube, took me off in a van. Then when I got to the sergeant's thing, they abducted me and put me in a cell. But before that, they tried to put false charges on me. But I didn't sign anything. And when they kept asking me, do I understand? I said, no, I don't understand. And then when I went in my cell, I kept screaming and shouting, saying, you've abducted me off the streets. I do not consent to this. I'm under common law. So they kept me in there for hours and hours. Then I asked them for the yellow pages of the, what the procedures are. They left me with that because I wouldn't let them do my fingerprints. They put me back in again. Then in the end, they had to release me on no charges.
What, because you'd gone over the 24 hours that
Can I just stop you there? Because because me and Tinky are both, we both play the common law of the land, right? So if I take it back to my situation, right, because I've obviously been arrested before and been charged, been in court, blah, blah, blah. But this time it was different because I knew the common law. So anyway, they arrested me, they threw me in the van, they said, give us your name and all that. Well, I said, no, I'm not giving you my name, don't consent to that. And anyway, I was in like the holding cell for like 20 minutes and they took me to the desk sergeant. And the common law of the land is, unless you commit harm, loss or injury, therefore there's no crime. So I said, I haven't committed any loss, harm or injury, constable. I said, so therefore there's no crimes. Therefore you've got me on a fucking trumped up charge. I don't consent to your contract. So anyway, they didn't even put me in a cell because they knew what I was talking about. So anyway, when it comes to, the desk sergeant where they get you to sign?
Yeah.
Because he was saying to me, sign, and I was writing no consent, because he said, right, sorry, let's take it back. When they arrest you and they say, I'm arresting you under suspicion of blah, 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 you do not have to say anything unless you wish to do so. Anything you do say may be given in evidence. Do you understand what you say? Yeah or no?
Well, you're not supposed to say anything. A lot of people say they do understand.
No. You say, right, well, this is the right way to do it. You say, no, I don't understand your legislation because it's legislation, right. It's not the law of the land. I'm under common law of the land, and that's what I'm sticking under. I've committed no loss, no harm, no injury, therefore there's no crime, therefore you have to release me. And then you write no, when they take you to the desk sergeant, because they can't get no further with you, they go sign that because they want the signature. Right, no consent, no consent, no consent. They have to release you because that way they've got no consent to transfer it to the CPS. So the CPS can't charge you because they can't move off the grounds.
But you know something, I've never tried it, and you know I would love to be able to try it now.
Wait till you try it next time, Avowley, because you're going to be walking it. Because me and Tink have.
Let's hope. Listen, you know what? I am sure in my case, I am sure. Yeah, if they want to lock me down now, me personally, they will just lock me down because you know there was no way they was letting me out. You know what I mean? There was nothing I could do that they were letting me out.
Because you went through that thing and you had the interview, and you know when you go through interview, no comment, it's so they've got nothing on you. No comment. I don't consent to your contract. I've committed no harm, no loss, no injury. No consent, your fucking paperwork, and they have to throw you out the door because you have to stop it.
Yeah, you know something.
Because you went through that process and you probably, you know, had to drag the solicitor in because the solicitor or whatever, that then gives them access because the solicitor gets you to sign something, if you get what I'm coming from. But because you've stopped
I think you're totally right because you know in my case when I was locked up in the police station, a lot of for a long time nothing happened because like you, I didn't give my name and I said I wasn't interacting with them. So there was a long waiting game, and it was when I started interacting with them when they're maybe about 22 hours into being in there. Do you know what I mean? And I think in a way, I've always asked myself, if I had said nothing to these idiots,
they would have had to throw you out with no charges. And you don't sign. You know where they say sign your signature? You put no consent right the way through it on every signature where they go sign that. And they'll still stand there and they'll have a little conversation because they did this to me. This is how cocky they are. They had a conversation with me. They were going, oh yeah, do you know, oh blah blah, oh just support Tommy, this, that, the other, blah blah blah. Do you understand? And I went, no, I fucking don't understand. So they threw, do I understand, in the middle of a sentence. So they need that, do you understand? Yes or no. If you say yes, you're consenting to the contract. They can transfer you to the CPS. It all goes through. You're in court. You get whatever. If you say no and you write no consent and you don't consent to anything because you've committed no crime, there's nothing they can do. They can't transfer it to the CPS.
And at the end of the day, nobody should be not seeing the kids. You know,
nobody should be having to admit to something that they haven't done anything wrong to. We have not committed any crime. Avowley has committed no crime. Why did he go to jail?
When my ex-partner in 2013, the police arrived at an address with a gentleman on top of me. Yeah. So why did they go to one conclusion? Now, at the time, I didn't understand common law. So when I got arrested and they're going, do you understand? Well, I didn't understand because I didn't. But they're saying, well, I do. Well, I did understand that they were arresting me, but I didn't understand what for. Do you get me?
Yeah, you don't understand what they're saying to you. They're saying to you, do you understand? And you're saying, yeah, to them, saying, yeah, I do understand. I'm not thick. Like one of them. But they're saying, do you consent to my contract? That's what they're not telling you.
What would happen? Can I ask this? Say they really wanted you and you've not consented, you've not spoken to them, they've not been able to do that.
Avowley, can I just say one thing, right? Since we've all been doing this to the system while you've been in jail, the police have come out crying their eyes out, saying that they're going down in business because we're not consenting to their contract and not signing nothing. They're not getting paid. So therefore, they're going down in business. And now they're crying a river because nobody trusts them anymore.
Nobody does trust them.
Exactly.
I'll tell you what, my work,
exactly.
When I start doing my videos and stuff again, I'm going to do a particular series on the devils known as the police because I've experienced.
They are dogs to the paedophiles.
Yeah.
They are.
Yeah. Sorry, carry on, Avowley. Sorry.
I'm going to expose the corruption that I've seen in that devilish system called the police. I don't fear them. I don't care about them. They like to intimidate. I'm not scared of any of them.
Neither am I.
They can't do anything. All they can do is kill me. If they want to kill me, they can kill me. I don't care. They're devils. And as this time changes now, I'm going to speak out more against those devils, that have corrupted the system.
Well,
So-called law-abiding.
if I go back to the whole of my situation, if the police had done the job in the first place, I wouldn't be in this mess now. So they've left in my life. They just done the job in 2013 when I was being murdered, because that's what was happening.
Funny how if the police had done the job in 2013 exactly like you, I wouldn't be in this situation either.
If I go back to the night that I was arrested on Christmas Eve last year, just this Christmas, you know, going back to mental health things, what you're talking about, they allowed me to go in the cell with my clothes on, and because I wouldn't do what they wanted me to do, they then came and stripped my clothes off, and then tried to use that mental health gave them the right to strip me naked. Well, what mental health? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
exactly.
Well, you know, this corona. Sorry.
Go on, Dowie.
This coronavirus thing now is going to give doctors the ability to use that mental health act to just get us.
Well, this is what they want, isn't it? Like, if everybody can't see this, because what everybody is not getting is that we are the strongest people in the game. We are the ones that are standing up to what's going on behind the scenes and behind closed doors and in people's faces, right? So we are the ones that are standing up. So when we all get took out, then it's down to the next ones to stand up. And if the next ones don't stand up, then they're getting absolutely terrorized because we know what's coming.
It's all down, you know, with the 5G. It's a war against humanity.
It's all interlinked.
War and control war, and it is good against evil. There's no two ways about it.
Going on about getting like a zapper where they can just use the 5G to zap us and kill us on the spot.
Yeah,
you know that's in 10 years' time.
You know
think about them doing that to your children.
You know what protects from this? Fully plant-based, torture-free diet. No animal products at all, and we have a.
Do you know what protect us from this is to go in with a fucking lawsuit against them. And remove it because you know whoever agrees with this is just completely insane at this point, isn't it? Because the ones at the top that's created this are insane.
It is really serious, though, the spiritual aspects of our torture, the way that we've been mass slaughtering, subjugating other races. We've got a monarchy, which is relevant to the monarchy, which is relevant to the monarchy, the Monday, which comes after the Sunday. And this is all relevant to our diets and us eating meat.
It all falls into Satanism as well, doesn't it?
And the Freemasons
with the sun god.
And what is it, Angie Cook, the
Angie Cook of.
Go on.
Go on, Tink.
You say it, love.
Oh, go on. Andy Cook of the Liverpool Met Quarters, which is the head of the Met Quarters in Liverpool. I've just found out on Facebook that he's the head of Freemasons in Liverpool, England and Wales.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
You mean the shopping place, the Met?
The Met Quarters. Do you know the Liverpool, the head of Liverpool? The fucking police, Andy Cook. He's only the head of Freemasonry in England and Wales. Oh, I've screenshotted all these.
They like to have their hands in business, don't they? They like to have their hands in the economic power of the place.
Yeah, and this is how they're all interlinked in. You've got the councils involved with it, or the MPs. I mean, we're going to the MPs, and the MPs are coming out and arresting us. Then we're finding out that, you know, our Andy Cook, who I've got a letter from in about 2015 saying that basically he's not investigating my kid's abuse because one day in the future it might come back to bite him in the arse, basically. Well, it's going to bite him in the arse one day because I've just found out he's the head of the Freemasons for England and Wales.
Well, if you start to look into like how the government runs, obviously you've got the House of Commons, you've got the House of Lords, and they have spiritual, and then they have a spiritual group who guide them as well. Do you get me?
Oh, so, and guess what? Merseyside Police have got an LGBT police force.
Yeah, that's weird.
Who's got that?
And then
who's got that?
Merseyside Police, they've got their own LGBT police force.
What, that's separate from the other police?
Yeah, separate from Merseyside Police, in Merseyside Police.
Right, so how do they fund that? Who funds that?
Oh, basically, they're all pushing for transgender rights. So I'm saying, well, where's our children's rights? Where's our children's police? Because we don't seem to have any children's police or children's rights. Yeah.
And if you look into
you go on Google, Pauli. Go on Google and type in Merseyside Police, LGBT police force. Type it in and see what comes up.
Look into
crazy, isn't it?
Oh, I've been going into everything. I've been going into counter-terrorism because they threatened me. So I went into all that. You want to read counter-terrorism as well?
Yeah, the Privy Council. That's the top one of the government. Yeah. Look into Tony Blair. All these people that shouldn't be ruling your country are still in ruling your country because
Home Office. It was the government.
So they're an association which is called the Privy Council, and then things will all loop off that, like associations and affiliations and all different groups, and then before you know it, you're in a world because it's just all in there.
So, like, basically, a paedophile can be in one group. He can rape a kid, get caught out, and then he can get kicked out of that group, but then he can go and join another group that's affiliated with the first group that he got kicked out of and get back in it through affiliation.
Just on that one Tinky's talking about quickly, the Privy Council. Have you seen that one about Harriet Harman, who was part of Liberty?
Yeah. She lowered the age. She tried lowering the age of consent to 10, was it, or 4?
Yeah. Jack Dromey 4.
Yeah,
then
that's crazy.
4,
Yeah, well, she basically, I was outside Parliament. Me and Tink went down to London on like a like to go and absolutely have it with Parliament. So I turned up on the doorstep and it was with the veterans, and the veterans turned around and said to me, if you get angry or you get pissed off, just take 10 minutes and go and sit over there in the wall. So anyway, this woman drives in a car and I was like, I know that face. She drove through and I went, Harriet Harman. So Harriet Harman went in, so I was fuming. I had to go and sit down for 10 minutes because I was fuming that much. I was like, what? I was kicking off outside Parliament, go, why is she going through that door? Why is she going through that door? Someone said, oh, it's Jeremy Corbyn's boss. I went, oh, is it now? So obviously she's got like shares and stuff in the Labour Party, Harriet Harman, and that's why she's driving through Parliament today. And then she tried taking over as that John Bercow, when you were in jail, that John Bercow got sacked as the Speaker of the House of Commons, I think it was, or Speaker of the House of Parliament. And then Harriet Harman wanted to be Speaker of the Houses of Parliament in John Bercow's place.
Well, wow. And a husband.
Yeah. Oh, this was only while you were in jail.
Rah.
See, you've missed quite a lot, haven't you,
She most probably will get it because she's done good work for the corrupt satanic system, hasn't she? So they'll reward her.
She was promoting so gays could have sex. This is how it all became about when Pi started. That's when they legalised so that a man and a man can have sex with each other, but it was because they were all buggering children, you see. And that was the way that they brought this out. They used that to then promote to lowering the age to 4 and then 6 and then 10. And then at that point as well, what was I going to say then?
Lower the age of consent to 10.
Yeah, so they legalised so that men could have sex because they were buggering kids. Do you get me? And then so where this was called PI, Paedophile Information Exchange, they made an association called Magpie. Then they went round other businesses and companies saying, can you please sponsor us? But they were using it was about gay rights, but obviously underneath all that was to legalise to have sex with children. Tom O'Carroll.
And that's all been linked in. The Home Offices knew about it. Now, the Home Office have gone and covered up the grooming gang scandal. And then I've got a grooming gang scandal to add to the grooming gang scandal that won't be released. The report won't be released. Because my town, Birkenhead in Wirral, my Wirral Borough Council has had a grooming scandal. So I've put a petition out on change.org. I can't remember what the petition is, but it's on my Facebook wall under Angie So just go to my Facebook, guys, if you want to sign and share it.
Will do.
But yeah, there's a petition there to basically release my Whittle hidden grooming gang scandal. So basically, the person who was in the council at the time of the grooming scandal, the chief executive of the council, everybody else got sacked around him. Yet in July, they found the ICSA, which is the International Inquiry to Child Sexual Abuse, which is our government reporting to Nottingham, which is the home where Melanie Shaw happened in Beechwood and all that lot.
Yeah.
So in July, they found Nottingham Council guilty of abusing children, and then ICSA made a recommendation to re-vet foster carers. But in that July, when they made that recommendation, Eric Robinson from my council, who ignored the grooming scandal, has now moved to the disclosure and barring service. So he's vetting paedophiles or potential paedophiles right now as chief executive in the disclosure and barring service.
Hi, thinking Angie.
That's no accident, is it? That won't be an accident,
I'm afraid.
Is that
time up?
Yeah, we've got Sean Morris on in 3 minutes.
Wow, listen, I tell you, that was really quick. Listen, thank you so much. That was amazing.
You always come on again.
Sorry, go on, Tink.
Oh, I'd love to. Thank you so much, people, for that.
Do a WhatsApp chat.
Yeah, we'll do a WhatsApp chat. I'll get your number in a minute. But yeah, it's been lovely having you on the show, and we'll get you on again.
Absolutely amazing.
Okay.
Thank you.
Angie and Tinky.
If that's okay, listen, I would love to. I'd love to. I can't believe that's gone so quickly. It's brilliant. Listen, amazing. Thank you, people.
Angie and Tinky, have you both told people that you're coming on for the next 6 weeks on a Tuesday?
Oh, sorry, I didn't tell Tinky. It's a little surprise for you.
You didn't, I think Tinky knows. I think Tinky see it on WhatsApp. But let me explain. Al Elliott, who does the Tuesday show, is really busy with his university work, and he needs a bit of time off to get stuck into that. He will be back, but he's taking 6 weeks off. So we need someone to cover for 6 weeks. And I asked Angie earlier, and she said, "Yep, Tinky will do it. I'll do it." So you've got no choice, Tinky.
So we've got a 6-week show on a Tuesday. What time, Jake?
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock every Tuesday for 6 weeks. So
I must be mad.
Come back on about it, because it feels like we haven't even hit the bottom of what we're going to hit.
Listen, whenever you want, I'll come on. Listen, it's been. I thank you all for inviting me on. It's been an education as well. I've got so much to go away and research and get on top of now, because you've let me know about a lot of stuff. A lot of changes happening. Thank you so much.
When we met you,
guys, peace out. Love you all.
When we met you, you were like an angel. You're an angel in our life,
listen,
and we all need. All the angels need to rise against the demons.
You are angels.
Oh, bless you. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies.
We're all angels. And thank you, Jake, for joining in.
Cheers, guys.
You are all angels. Thank you.
I'll see you on Tuesday.
And you. See you on Tuesday, guys.
Cheers.
Thanks for watching. Wake Up UK.